It doesn't happen. No, I just put my stuff down. I'm going to the bathroom. You're ready. I think that is the beginning song. Okay, go ahead and make your announcement.
On the song?
Huh?
On the song?
No, on Pastor Linda.
Well, I'll do that in my announcements.
He wants that right at the front. I can do it. It's okay.
I mean, nobody's going to be leaving, so.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning. I want to just give you a brief announcement here before we start the official announcements. And that is that effective immediately, Asta Linda is closed due to a health concern. So it's not a big deal. They have just decided to close it for now. So please don't go over there. So it just is not open for right now. But now let's go with the worship service and the next part. So our opening hymn is number 347, Gather the Spirit. Will you please rise in body or spirit to sing?
morning. My name is Dave Lyon. I'm a member of the congregation, and I'll be your worship associate this morning. And I prefer the pronouns he and him. Instead of the traditional welcoming, I'd like to share one with you that was written by the Reverend Dan Lambert, that some of you knew was the minister at the UU Fellowship in Port Charlotte. And Reverend Lambert writes, I think this applies to us just as well as the fellowship at Port Charlotte. Reverend Lambert writes, "You are welcome here, no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, no matter what your background. You are welcome here to join us in our spiritual journey. You are welcome to join us as we sing songs that uplift our very beings. You are welcome to join us in community as we learn, live, and love together. All are welcome as we worship that which gives us each meaning and value. No matter what you call this building, this hour, or this gathering of people, we worship as one body, illuminated by the light of the chalice. Welcome to church today." Do we have any first-time visitors that are brave enough to stand and tell us your name and maybe where you came from? Going once, going twice. We've got all veterans today. If you have any questions about us, what we do, what we believe, go to our website, which I think is as good as it's ever been. It's uucov.org. You can find there everything that's happening, the people involved, the activities. It'll answer any question you have about us. And if that doesn't work, you can contact a board member. And we have several board members here today. I see Ken Boysworth back here. I see Mo Morrison. Who else do I see? I guess that's all I see. But they can answer your... Oh, Bill Reynolds. Okay. Sorry, Bill. So they will answer any questions you have. Before we take up our collection this morning, I'd like to share with you some words that were written by Herb Miller. Mr. Miller writes, "Strong financial stewardship leads to heightened morale and feelings of satisfaction. We want your morale high, and we want you to feel satisfied. So be generous. And those watching remotely, go to uucov.org and click on the donate button and be generous there also." So our fellows will pass the baskets down. And I will share a couple of comments. One, I want to issue a thank you. Jim Catlett has been our guest for the last 2 weeks on the piano and organ. And hasn't Jim done a marvelous job? And aren't we glad to have heard the organ? Thank you, Jim. The organ may have had a little rust, but you certainly made it sound good. Wednesday at 4 o'clock at the Palmers without Richard, but Pam will be there. There's a meet and greet for Reverend Amy, so it's your chance to have a little something to sip on and something to nibble and meet our new interim minister. On Friday, Montessori School is having a huge event. They're having a big ribbon cutting, a dedication for their new classroom building. The press will be here. It'll make the newspapers and all that. So if you want to see what's going on over there, be here Friday at 9 a.m. Next Saturday at 10, Monk San is here for meditation. At 3, Vince Trigar is here at Asta Linder. And at 10, we're having map making next Saturday. And I'd like to share with you, this will be Reverend Susan Karlson's last Sunday with us. And I want to thank her, and she's imparted a lot of wisdom to us, made us think and reflect, and last week really challenged us. And I want to thank Reverend Karlson for being here and sharing that with us. During this 6-month period with guest ministers, I will always think of Reverend Karlson as dessert. She was last and maybe the best. So thank you. And that does it. It's time for our prelude.
Our call to worship this morning is called Autobiography in 5 Short Chapters by Portia Nelson. Chapter 1. I walk down the street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I fall in. I am lost. I am helpless. It's not my fault. It takes forever to find a way out. Chapter 2. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I pretend I don't see it. I fall in again. I can't believe I am in the same place, but it isn't my fault. It still takes a long time to get out. Chapter 3. I walk down the same street. There's a deep hole in the sidewalk. I see it is there. I still fall in. It's a habit. My eyes are open. I know where I am. It is my fault. I get out immediately. Chapter 4. Difference. I walk down the same street. There is a deep hole in the sidewalk. I walk around it. Chapter 5. I walk down another street. Come, let us worship together.
It's getting harder each week. Our chalice lighting is by Wendell Berry. This chalice lighting is a responsive reading. I will read the words in regular print. Please read the words in italics. We clasp the hands of those that go before us.
On the hands of those who come after us.
We enter the little circle of each other's arms.
And the larger circle of all others whose hands are joined in a dance.
And the larger circle of all creatures.
Passing in and out of life, who move also in a dance.
To a music so subtle and vast that no ear hears it.
Except the fragments.
Susan? Thank you.
Our next hymn is really one of my favorites. It's number 121, We'll Build a Land. But I want to set a little bit of the context for this song, this hymn. It comes from the words of the Hebrew scriptures, and it's about coming into the promised land. But it's a little triumphant. It's a little like there were already people there. And so we're coming in and we're going to build a land, but the land was already built. The culture was already there. And so I just want to set that context. It still is one of my favorite hymns, definitely. But I think as we sing it, we should be aware of our own tendencies to sometimes act as if we're creating something out of nothing when actually we're building on something someone else has already built before. But will you please rise in body or spirit to sing number 121? Well, this story this morning is adapted from a story by Reverend Alida DeCoster. It's called Between Two Chairs. Maybe that's why I have two chairs, you think? So there's a German expression called being between two chairs. It's when we make a change in our lives that has both pros and cons, positives and negatives to both sides. So, you already know, because you heard from Dave, this is my last Sunday with you all. And it's the last Sunday that you will have a different minister each month. Since your called minister, Reverend Khleber Van Zandt, retired, and you had different speakers for 1 month at a time. Next week, we'll begin Reverend Amy Shaw's ministry with you. And she'll be with you for 2 years, no more of this 1 month kind of stuff, as your interim minister. And so I just want to talk a little bit today about this being a day of celebration, where we remember the things that have happened before in the last 6 months and all the changes that you've already made in your lives and all the things that are going to be on the horizon for you. What's ahead? What possibilities there are during this time of celebration? What's ahead for this congregation? So the story Between Two Chairs happens because sometimes when we make good decisions, and it's for the best, there are also some big changes that happen with that. So I'm going to move to a little different chair. After this service, I am going to drive for 7 or 8 hours back to my home in Savannah, Georgia. And there's one very good thing that comes for me. And that is I get to see my spouse, Alan, that many of you met here at the beginning of my time with you. And I get to see my 2 cats, Lolly and Morpheus, and snuggle with them all again. I am overjoyed about that because that's just very precious, having snuggle time with your beloveds. And then a month after that, yeah, you can agree, right? A month after that, we plan to move to a new home, which is in the mountains. And we've lived near the ocean for like 20 years. So that'll be another big change. And that's all on the good side of this chair. But, in this other chair, I will really miss being with you all. I will really miss being with all of you. Wherever you are, even online, I'm going to miss being with you. You've given me hugs, and sometimes remote hugs, and welcomed me, and I will miss seeing you all grow and change. Yes, I will. But you know what? Guess what? Reverend Amy will get to see you grow for the next 2 years. And she's going to be building treasures and memories and moments with you for you always to remember. So I have a question for you all. And this is particularly for our children and youth, but you all be thinking of it too, all the rest of you. So I wonder if there are times when you had to make choices, kind of tough choices, where there were good things and sad things that made it more difficult for you to make a choice. And some things that I can think of are like maybe deciding between 2 presents that you would like, or like whether you get a cat or a dog, or both. What did you choose? Can you think sometimes and say why you made those choices?
About the choices choice.
Did you have to choose from two different things?
Yes.
And was it hard?
Yes.
What were the two things? Recently, we've had to decide on desserts.
Oh, yes. And chocolate cake and vanilla cake.
And
I
which did you-
chose chocolate cake.
All right. Nope. Mackenzie?
I decided to not go to Khleber's retirement thing, and, well, I feel really guilty about that because I was with him practically my entire life, you know? And, well, now I'm just kind of sad about that because, yeah.
Well, you all be thinking about that because that comes up for us. In life, we have to make hard choices sometimes. And sometimes we may be sad about something happening. And it's better to have those feelings and let those feelings be there for us. Because then, when good things happen, we have more of those kind of feelings. We can feel all the different kinds of feelings we have. And so, even though it's hard, and sometimes you may regret something, but still you made the best choice you could. And that's always a good thing, and to have all your feelings, I believe. Well, you know, I'm also a social worker, a therapist type, so I really believe in feelings. So that's one thing. But as we say goodbye, I want to give this congregation something. It is a soul collage card that I made. I'm going to get a little tearful now, but that's okay too, that I made just for you all. And I think this is the time that you should put that up on the screen. There you go, so other people can see it, but you all can see the actual one. So this card I created with photos and images, because in soul collage, that's what we do. We create the cards that we can explore the wisdom from them that's deep inside of us. And sometimes, you know, words can't quite get at it. But in this card, there is, you're passing it all around. So it's good it's up on the screen, and those of you at home can see it, and you can see it because you're going to have it for as long as you want. But it has a little child playing with sand, surrounded by sea oats and all the natural beauty here of the Gulf. And then there's sparklers, like on a festive holiday, like I shared July 4th here, or like New Year's Day. And then all kinds of streams of light, sparks of light coming around the corner with your new minister that's coming, Reverend Amy, who's coming just next week. So remember at this time that you will create a special place in your heart for your new minister, Reverend Amy Shaw, and they will find a place in their heart for you as well. So that's something certainly to celebrate, and that's all that I have to say for you right now, but know that my heart goes with you as we sing you to your classes. And where are you going to go for classes? By a Waters Hall. Okay, so just we can have a vision of them going to a nice, safe place. Okay. Bye-bye.
Comes the time in our service where we share, and we also pull our hearing aids out, where we share our joys and sorrows. Does anybody have a celebration, a joy, a birthday, an anniversary, a grandchild graduated from kindergarten, or something they'd like to share with us? Any celebration or joy?
Thank you. I taught for 30 years and couldn't shut up. However, I've never spoken in front of another group in a setting such as today. But I really wanted to say thank you for your receptivity to your organ and also to me and your kind words. It makes a great deal of difference. A thank you to Lisa Frank. She's actually the piano teacher for both Susan and myself. She's a wonderful musician. She has a wonderful heart. You are so lucky to have her. So I really am appreciative for Lisa saying, get off your duff, Jim. And people my age often give organ recitals. I mean the non-musical kind. So this is a very short one. 2 years ago, I had a bilateral brain stroke, and I was in a coma for several days. And the doctor said to my wife, this could be serious. And happily, I did come to, but there's some results of that they said to me. For example, you're going to have trouble learning new music. Now, with that which has been under your fingers, you won't find very difficult. Well, thanks to Amy, I've had 6 new hymns I've learned in the last 2 weeks. And I still think, but we'll build a lamb. I'm sorry, Susan. We'll build a land. It just finally got into my soul because Susan would sing it in the morning. I would hear her just kind of going like, it'll get there, even the pedal part, just keep working with it. So my big thanks to her. And thank you for the boost in confidence in myself. I have not touched an organ in over 10 years.
Ooh.
So I will say that I have been here a fair amount this week. So, and Susan always comes, and she always very gently critiques me. Everything sounds just fine, but maybe this Susan, yes. No, I'm sorry. I better stop before I have a third strike.
No, you've been very gracious, and I'm sorry to give you so many tasks, but it's worth it for all of us because you got to hear new music and new music for yourself, and then you heard Jim's lovely playing and Susan's encouragement there. Any
other?
Oh, good, I get exercise again today before I sit in the car.
I'm Donna Jewett, and first of all, I want to thank you, Susan. We've really enjoyed having you here, and we've really enjoyed the music, too, and we appreciate that so much. I'm going to be traveling next month, and I'm very excited about that because I'll be getting back to New England to see friends and family, and I've missed them a lot, but it's been wonderful being here, and I feel like I have another family at the UU, and I really appreciate that as well. But thank you, we're going to miss you.
Is there another celebration, Joy?
Hi, I'm Pam Palmer. My celebration is that Richard is on the road to recovery. He is currently at Venice, which is up the street here, and hopefully he'll be able to be walking soon. He did have a rod put in his femur. We thought he was going to have the hip replaced also, and that didn't have to happen. So we're very grateful for that. And he's enjoyed the cards and the thoughts and the prayers that he's gotten. I just wanted to let everybody know. So thank you.
Oh, hope he continues to recover well.
Any other celebrations, joys? How about sorrows? Anything happening that you'd like to unburden yourself and share with us? Okay. I will share with you a prayer followed by a few moments of meditation, and following that, Jim will bless us with his interlude. The prayer I have chosen is from the UU Fellowship of Huntington, which I believe is in New York on Long Island. No, yes, I got that one right. The prayer goes, Spirit of life, mystery of mysteries, nameless and eternal. Guide us in right relationship with one another. May our community know hope, joy, and resilience. May we continue to grow in our understanding and compassion and love. Let our hearts, however full of joy or grief, know the connection of one another.
You know, in the last day, I changed all kinds of things around about this service. Could have driven people crazy, but it didn't, I don't think, because they didn't have anything to do with these particular parts I changed. But the meditation I did change. And it's because a dear colleague, a dear friend of mine, Reverend Roger Butts, wrote a beautiful meditation in his Seeds of Devotion, Weekly Contemplations on Faith, a meditation. And he wrote this particular excerpt is called A New Name. And this is just a fantastic, beautiful book that's available from UU Books if you go there. A New Name. After the long exile in Babylon, the people returned home. And Isaiah proclaimed the good news. You've got a new name. Consider the exile, the exhaustion of it, the pure grief, the disorientation. Imagine how that must have been. And then they had new life, a new name, and they thrived. Think of the moment your child first called you mom or dad, or your niece called you uncle or aunt. When your beloved called you beloved. When your bestie for a life called you friend. In those moments, you realize something fundamentally new about yourself. You saw yourself with new eyes. Consider the exile. They remembered the covenant that they had with their God. They committed themselves to welcoming the stranger, to taking care of the orphans and the widows, making sure the poor among them had enough food, and restoring the temple. They had new life, a new name, and they thrived. A new name comes with new life. Who among us hasn't had to start over again? Who among us hasn't felt the sting of exile? Even now. Maybe especially now. Isaiah reminds us that this sense of exile is not the end of the story. End of the reading. But here's my commentary. Imagine your new name. We're going to sing our hymn, number 100. I've got Peace Like a River, and Jim asked me if we wanted to cut verses, but let's sing them all, because they're short and they're good. And please rise and body your spirit. I love that, that particular hymn as well, because when my mother was dying in hospice, we invented all kinds of new verses to go along with that. And so that really sustained her through that time. Well, folks, we are all of us on the cusp of something new, while relishing the lessons and the times of the past. English author Thomas Hardy once wrote, "They say you should never look back, but the recollection of what we were is the only way we can make sense of what we have become. For all the loss, all the sadness, the future reveals hope in the unexpected, and life rebuilds itself." End quote. Now, this congregation has come through the crucible of major change, like the rest of the countries on this planet, in the United States, in Florida, with global pandemics of all kinds. There's a real fire in the belly to build something new, something lasting, something sustainable. I don't know if it's possible to build something without looking back, as Hardy reminds us. Let's reflect back on the excerpt from the reading that I just did, A New Name, from Reverend Roger Butts. Butts reminds us of the long exile of the Jewish people, displaced, disoriented, in despair. Wandering through the wilderness gets old pretty fast. Fatigue sets in. Worry gets the best of you. You just want to get to the new place. But the people in exile, they got a new name and hope, and new energy entered in. You have just faced 6 months of big changes with your settled minister, the Reverend Khleber Van Zandt, retiring, and a succession of monthly ministers following suit. I always thought it was a brave thing to do, to have a number of different ministers, all with different personalities, different quirks, different perspectives, different styles, and to open yourselves up to speakers like us. I also felt it was particularly wise, because it prepares you for the interim minister and the search that comes during that time, settled minister search. I applaud you for finding a solution that gave you a wide view of ministers, because that is the truth. We are all very different, although we have some similarities. You made it happen, and it holds you in good stead for the next part of your transition that you're facing. Now, I introduced the congregation to a form of spiritual growth called soul collage. Some of you were in those classes, the little workshops that I held. It's a way that you find images and then you put them together in a meaningful sort of way. And I made that card, which I don't know where it went. It got passed around somewhere. There it is. Okay. So many of you here in the congregation have gotten a chance to see it, and you saw it online. But the card that I made for you, I hope that you can find your own meaning for it. In Soul Collage, we do what's called, you say, you name the card, and you say, I am one who. And I hope that you all can have your various perspectives on what that card may say to you, and maybe some of you create ones of your own as we hope Soul Collage continues. 14 people have experienced Soul Collage during these last 3 weeks. So hoping that it will continue and that spirit will continue. But since I made this card with you all in mind, let me tell you what the new name is I see for you. And this is just me, okay? Pure and simple me. What hopes I have for you in this congregation. So if I use the I am one who, then here's what I came up with. I named this card, I am one who is young and old, who enjoys the wonder of life before me while seeing possibility and potential in our community and one another and beyond these doors. At the center of that card is a young child kneeling in the sand by the ocean's doors, shaping that sand in some way and holding it in their hands. Surrounding that child is also the natural beauty of the Gulf Coast, and then sparklers and blazes of light surrounding the whole scene. For this child, for the inner child in each of us, life is new and promising, creative, unformed, vibrant, fiery, all of those things. This child is intent on creation in front of them. The unmolded life in their hands. And that's how I see you all. That's how I see you. You've had many choices ahead of you, but you're going to have even more in the next months. We've shared our perspectives, those of us who have been your monthly ministers, and of course Reverend Khleber for years. But now it will be your turn to mold and shape this community with your interim minister, Reverend Amy Shaw. Together you will continue to welcome people, to care for one another, and to celebrate what is possible and needed in this place at this time. No one else can say what that card means to the person who made it. You can't say what it means to me, I just told you. Yet there's another approach to working on dreams that I often have used, and it's in the format, If It Were My Dream. That was first introduced to me by the Reverend Dr. Jeremy Taylor. Someone who hears a dream of another person, someone who sees a card of another person can go, if it were my dream, if it were my card, this is what it says to me. So in the future, see what comes to you. If that card was one that you made, or make something that expresses your new name, a new phase in your collective lives, in your own personal life. There is a song by Gordon Light and Mark Miller that's often sung in Unitarian Universalist congregations. It's simple and yet has powerful lyrics that speak to what could be at the heart of the next era in your lives. Draw the circle wide. Draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one stands alone. Standing side by side. Draw the circle wide. In some versions, it even continues, in your sadness and your grief. When the pain, it seems there is no relief, we will hold you until the storm subsides. Draw the circle wide. On this day, when you celebrate the transition you have made so far, knowing that you will be opening the doors wider still, you can feel the strength of our lives being made more whole. We know that because of what happened what we learned from the two pandemics, COVID-19 and all its variants and all of its nuances, and the pandemic of racial violence with the accompanying murders and brutality towards Black, brown, Asian lives. We have to draw the circle wide. Women are seen with less agency because of recent decisions, and gay folks' lives and love are in question because of heterosexism and homophobia. Stereotypes abound. Another volley of blaming gay men for monkeypox now, and all of those changes. We know that we must draw the circle wide. Our love, our compassion, our hearts, our actions must lead us to dream larger dreams, larger dreams. To be in solidarity, to be accountable to those who have been marginalized, left outside the threshold of the circle, too often ignored or taken for granted, forgotten. While we ourselves feel some of these things as well, even when we rebuild, release, reawaken. Our lives are intertwined. I said that to you from the start. Our lives are intertwined and meaningful in so many ways. Most people spend some time feeling like they are on the outside of the circle, not belonging, fitting in, yearning for companionship, yearning for community, acceptance, compassion. That's what our faith is all about, isn't it? That's what all faith should be about. Standing in the middle of the pandemic, we drew the circle wide. In the midst of incredible loss and sorrow, people who died, we drew the circle wide. It's not possible in the aftermath of the years that witnessed death after death of one Black body after another, not to also draw the circle wide. And that you look how to do that. What it means right here in Venice, in this area. And that you do it alongside other faith communities or other organizations that also want to include love and compassion at the center of their lives. There's so much work to do, and yet there's so much celebration to be had, so much healing and jubilation, and all rolled together in one. Ours is an embracing faith, a generous and deep, deep faith. It calls to us to extend the circle of care, compassion, justice, and love as far as we can possibly imagine it. Our hope for this day extends into tomorrow and all the months afterwards. There's so much that we humans go through. Life has so many elements to it. And even when life feels like it's a struggle, as it does for all humans at one time or another, we need to remember then particularly that we are not alone. We draw the circle wide. Draw it wider still. Let this be our song. No one stands alone. Standing side by side. No one stands alone. Draw the circle. Draw the circle wide. Amen, and blessed be. And I see we have gone over time, but let's sing our closing hymn, number 1064, and let's just sing one verse of it, okay? Jim, is that okay? Please rise and body your spirit. There is a new name written for you in the experiences and the choices you make in this congregation and in your lives. Will you close ranks or will you draw the circle wide? You know which one I hope you choose, but what will you choose? Blessings as you move forward. May you find the jubilant joy and the radical peace of this new era in your lives and your future, this beloved community of yours. May you feel the strength, the love, the determination to live out what fills you up and what leads you onward and outward. Blessings as you travel on this journey of life, wherever it takes you. Amen, and blessed be. It's been my pleasure to be with you.
I mean, you've challenged us and educated us.